everyone, and welcome back to my channel with myself, Isabella. I'm so excited to see you here today. I'm not alone. I'm joined by my amazing friend who lives in Melbourne. That's where I am right now, Alex McMaster.
Hi everyone, I've been very blessed to have Isabella over here. Isabella is a dear friend of me. She mentored me when I was over in Europe dancing, so it's great to have her this side of the world, now sharing her amazing expertise with everyone here. So thanks for coming.
You are so welcome. I'm happy to be here. Today we're going to be looking at different interpretations of Giselle's from various companies. The interpretation of Giselle can vary greatly. You know, some people are very emotive through it, some people are more subtle, and it'll be really interesting to hear from you afterwards what your thoughts are, you know, which interpretation you preferred. You know, obviously we're always really respectful of the dancers, they're all incredible in their own way, but obviously we all have our favorite dancers, and we all have the ones we resonate with more when we watch, or the ones who make us feel a little bit more. So that'll be really interesting, you know, and it'll be really interesting to understand what it is that makes you feel more. You know, is it a particular way they express themselves? You know, is it a particular way they do a certain step? All these things. So when you're watching with us, really look at that detail. We're going to be starting with the renowned ballerina of the Royal Ballet and previously working in Russia, Natalia Osipova, who is very well known for this role actually, for Giselle. You know, her amazing jumps, her amazing emotion. So let's start with Osipova. So just looking at the acting before it, where she's saying, it's time for you to dance.
I always love her energy that she gives throughout this as well. She really devotes herself to the character, which is, wow, she's so loved. And
yeah, and there really is kind of no holding back.
No
hesitating.
Mm-hmm.
I notice, you know, some people do the penché, some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
I actually prefer the version she's doing where
it's more of a...
you hold it, yeah.
Yeah, gorge.
Yeah, beautiful jump. She's always kind of almost not with the music sometimes, you know, just kind of free and flowing.
Yeah,
not trying to be perfect.
Exactly, and she doesn't go into it too careful as well.
Yeah.
Natalie always just has like, oh, I'm doing it, here we are. And nails it. Wow.
Oh, really
she
nice.
Did the double single on the left.
It does happen. Even Osipova. I'm always looking at her shoes at this point because the tiny, tiny, tiny platform. I don't know how she dances on such a small platform. But you know, she's so light on her feet. And then again, she's not actually with the music. She's ahead of the music. She's going in her own rhythm. And then she'll be on the music on the end.
Yeah. She commits to the role.
Really beautiful. So guys, that was Osipova. What did you think, Alex?
I love Natalia Osipova when she dances because she does take the role to beyond what we expect as an audience member, I think. She's not careful. She almost shows, I think she shows a more mature Giselle, whereas a lot of artists tend to take it quite like that 16-year-old, quite naive and that way. But then at the same time, like her steps aren't perfect positions, which I love as well.
Yeah, what I like about her is you kind of forget you're watching her do a variation. You know, you kind of forget you're watching a very renowned solo because she is just very much living in the moment and trusting herself and being very free with the movements. They're not necessarily perfect, you know. She holds and then she doesn't necessarily always land in a clean fifth position all the time. Like she kind of just really lives, and she's one of the dancers that I feel really dances, you know, and isn't trying to be extremely positioned or perfect. And I think sometimes I prefer more, you know, classical, really pure lines. Like sometimes, you know, she's almost too free that we lose the position. But in this particular role, it's really suited to that, and you really get that joy coming through. So yeah, a really, really beautiful performance, and I do like her Giselle a lot.
Yeah, me too. That's
So now, everyone, we're going to be moving on to Paris, the Paris Opera, of course, and we're going to be looking at Dorothée Gilbert. This should be interesting because I don't spend too much time watching French dancers, so this will be interesting because, aside, like in contrast to Osipova, the French technique is very beautiful footwork, very beautiful, but much more reserved in the upper body, I think, and much more placed. You know, whereas Osipova might extend and open her chest a little bit for expression, the Paris Opera would keep the ribs closed, you know, to really show a clean line of arabesque, you know.
I'm sure they probably do the ponche.
Let's have a look. Oh, amazing roll through. Just clean legs.
Yeah, their footwork works in such a different way that it's so unique, Paris Opera.
You know, the jump is a little less.
Yeah, it's more delicate. I would say. With the upper body placement in those tones as well, like
extremely held, like a doll in a jewelry box. You know, there's dolls that spin around when you open the jewelry box.
I also love seeing the variance in choreography as well.
Yeah. She looks actually very far back in the shoe, almost like she might come down.
I know, it does look
amazing, look, so far back. I would say completely different, like utterly completely different to Osipova. Like the legs are lower, which is fine. The legs are lower, the upper body placement is more reserved. I would say because it's so subtle, less joy and Giselle-like character was coming across to me.
Yes.
I actually preferred Osipova's interpretation in terms of the acting, just because, you know, Giselle is like, her favorite thing in the world is to dance. Placement and just the articulation and actual technical skill was really, really excellent and beautiful. Like the holds in the attitude and things like that. That was really nice. But I think I preferred a little bit more acting involved, like a little bit more artistic expression. What do you think?
I think so as well.
Yeah.
I am a fan of Paris Opera. I do love their footwork because it's beyond. I think that the way that they go here, there and everywhere really inspires me. I also think with Dorothée, she has incredible placement of her upper arms. I would say it's slightly academic almost. I think it is nice to see how she tracks through the arms. It can definitely help you, especially as you go into an attitude turn where that tracking goes can be quite, I don't know, for me, if my arm did say what Osipova did, I might most likely would fall over because I don't have that strength. Whereas like if I tried maybe Dorothée's technique, it would be a little bit smoother all the way around. So yeah, I think they both have great elements, but I think I'm with yourself as well that Natalia's work, it's a Giselle, it's the character that you fall in love with. So
yeah, I think coming like from what you're saying, we're kind of impressed by the technical skill of Dorothée, but not mesmerized by the character or the artistic expression, which obviously, as we look at this Giselle variation, that's what we're looking at. So yeah, so far I think I prefer the acting and of Osipova, just because you get lost in it. So now we're going to be looking at the Mariinsky. And we're going to be looking at Mei Nagahisa, who is the beautiful Japanese soloist who trained at Princess Grace Academy. And she's doing amazingly well. She's extremely delicate, extremely light in her movements, and you really are just mesmerized by her fragility and her softness of movement. So let's look at Mei's nuances and interpretation of Giselle. There she is. Very traditional costume. What's really nice about May is she is also really young.
Yeah, she... Wow, her upper body is very mature for her age.
Well, I know at Mariinsky they would have spent so many hours on that and really, really coached her on it. Okay.
I think because we didn't talk so much, that goes to say you danced just then. So.
Yeah, I haven't watched May that much, and so watching her, like obviously you see her on social media popping up, but I haven't really sat down and really examined her. And so that was really, really interesting. I think because she is so, even if, I don't know how old she is, but she is obviously young, in her early 20s, I would say. She does look like
a 16-year-old.
A 16-year-old, maybe, yeah. So she's very suited to that kind of character, literally young Giselle. And unlike Osipova, for example, who's obviously Bolshoi, you know, May definitely has that very clean, pure, Mariinsky-looking technique, which is extremely classically pure. You know, the beautiful arabesque lines, the beautiful upper body arms, the softness of the arms. But actually, kind of interesting, even more so than some of the Mariinsky dancers, you know, who would be a little bit more expressive in the upper body, like a little bit more passionate looking. You know, May has this
very delicate,
delicate and sort of purity about her that probably comes from her schooling. So it's probably interesting, you know, she probably has taken a lot from Princess Grace and is now developing upon that, obviously, with her Mariinsky coaches, who are honestly excellent. But what did you think, Alex?
I absolutely loved it, actually. I think, as you said, she has that purity through her and how she extends her fingers and arms. And it's not overdone. It's very subtle, but enough for you to fall in love with, say, the character, but also the storyline. I think she showed a nice contrast. In terms of technicality, she is absolutely beautiful. Stunning arabesque line.
Yeah.
Good pirouettes as well. Solid finish. Good turns. I think possibly there is a little bit of maturity still to go.
Yeah, all those
little things. It's when you come down through your shoe through softness, which we saw with Dorothée.
And obviously the Paris Opera kind of really are renowned for their footwork. And Russian dancers, you know, they're not so renowned for the point work strength, you know, necessarily. There's a lot of other things, but the sort of real articulation of feet, that's very Paris. And I think with May, she's so young still, like these things will come, especially on stage, having that experience. But yeah, those kinds of things would come later. And if it's this good now, it's just only going to get better and better.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. She's a gem.
But it's kind of, she is definitely a very sweet Giselle as well. And you're kind of very taken in. And for example, seeing her on stage, falling in love with Albrecht, you know, you'd really believe that, you know, because she is the character. So really beautiful, really, really nice. I think her softness is really relatable to the role, you know, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. Amazing. Now let's look at Bolshoi. I'm going to be looking at the legend that is Svetlana Zakharova doing Giselle, a beautiful physique, long body, amazing arches, the prima ballerina of Bolshoi, almost the prima of Russia. Now Svetlana obviously in Act 2 looks incredible when she develops her leg in the adagio, her amazing extensions. I don't necessarily think Svetlana's known for Giselle. You know, I would say, if anything,
Swan Lake, maybe.
Yeah, Swan Lake. She's beautiful. She has a video with Roberto Bolle in La Scala where she does Swan Lake, and she looks amazing. I mean, she's also incredibly beautiful. You know, she has the most beautiful face. But in Giselle, I would say Act 2 is probably where she's most well known, because she just looks so great in anything sort of white, romantic, and where there's extension involved. So now let's just see how she translates her acting, her nuances, and the interpretation of Giselle. Even though she's obviously older than May, she does have a very young persona about her, a young face.
Definitely, and she's still very delicate as well, like May almost.
Yeah.
Not to compare, but yeah.
I love the way she picks up the skirt so delicately.
Her leg line is so impressive as well, in comparison to, say, Dorothée, but still up there in a different way.
Interesting how she does those turns quite aggressively, like really quickly, and some almost sail around a little more, you know, float around and sail. Whereas it seems like, for me, you kind of lose the interpretation, the character a little bit, like she's a bit worried about the turns, you know? It becomes obviously technical.
Yes.
Whereas the others, you really kind of still get lost in this floating feeling in the turns. Interesting how she's not traveling this much. But I think it's probably difficult in those arches.
Yeah. Beautiful turns there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really nice, and obviously beautiful, delicate arms. Yeah, I think it's really interesting, you know, because obviously she's very good in positions. Like, she looks extremely elegant in her poses. I think once again, like the rolling through the feet and the articulation of movement, and having that technical ability to go slowly sometimes and like really sail around. For me, it looked like in the pirouettes we lost it a little bit, because she went very quickly into it to sort of get them over with, you know.
Yeah.
I also felt like in the renversé she went directly to the attitude, whereas someone like Osipova, and I think Dorothée as well, there's a little bit more sensation of the leg goes up and sails around, so you get more of a sensation of the spiral movement and this big circle of the leg, rather than going directly there to the position.
In comparison to all of them, again, they're all so different. I think the difference between Natalia, she really knows how to play the music a little bit. She knows how to manipulate it in some sense.
Yeah.
Whereas, Svetlana is very like staccato, I think the word is.
Yeah, and just very on the music.
Yeah.
Very to the music. You know, she's not necessarily, like you say, playing with it. Osipova is almost ahead of the music a lot of the time, and going through the music.
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of like technicality, it's Svetlana, and I think she's absolutely divine. She was my inspo growing up in school.
Mine too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I want extensions like Svetlana.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I think she is a lot of people's idol as well, and as you can hear from the audience as well, clapping when she's hopping. I think she does have intense pressure on her as well.
Oh yeah.
So I think
she is like, you know, an honored artist of Russia. Like she is the Russian ballerina, you know, the prima of Bolshoi.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, there's a lot of reputation whenever she steps on stage, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's incredibly nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she did.
She definitely pulls it off though.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful interpretation, and a young interpretation despite her obviously being quite mature. You know, unlike May, who's obviously giving that young interpretation because she is at the start of her career. But it's amazing how Svetlana has been able to carry that youthfulness throughout her entire career and still seem extremely youthful, even when obviously she's probably leaning towards the end of her career in the next decade or so, who knows. So a handful of incredible Giselle variations, really, really interesting. We just looked at a few. Let us know what you think down below and let us know who you want us to watch next. We can do a part 2 for sure. Maybe in a year's time because Alex lives in Melbourne, but you know, we'll do it. Let us know down below which Giselles you really enjoy watching of this day and age. I specifically wanted to look at dancers of today, because obviously we can do another video where we look at best Giselles of all time, you know, looking at Alessandra Ferri, who's obviously incredible at Giselle, along with many others. We can even look at Zakharova doing it, and so on. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Which was your favorite, Alex, out of that selection?
Oh, I want to say May because she was very delicate when she moved as well. You can see there's a little bit more to go in terms of her technicality, despite being incredible. But it's more just the manipulation of the feet that I would love to see. But her port de bras and her line is absolutely stunning. So yeah, May.
Yeah, amazing. I would say also probably May. Yeah, although I really enjoyed Osipova in this role, and I really enjoyed her joyous expression. That I really loved. I enjoyed the innocence of May and her softness and fragility. I thought she was really beautiful, and you got just very mesmerized by her and lost in her variation. You know, so it's a very different Giselle to Osipova, but I kind of really appreciated both of those. Yeah, all fabulous Giselles though, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
But thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already so you never miss another one. And we'll speak to you and see you very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.